share with others on Facebook. What is conflict? Conflict basically it's when ideas clash, interests or purposes that are in opposition. It means there's a conflict, the clashing of ideas, interests or purposes that are in opposition. It means there is a conflict. What is management? A lot of us, we've learned what management is from schools. So this is basically just a reminder of what we know. Management is the process of planning, decision-making, organizing, leading, motivation, and controlling. We've actually come to learn that marriage is an institution that needs management skills. So as marriage couples, we need to learn just basic management skills that we can be using in our marriages, because marriage is an institution. So for us to manage our conflicts, we need to learn just basic management skills. Conflict management in a marriage setup. One thing that we need to know is that it takes two to tango in a marriage. It takes two to tango. It takes the husband, it takes the wife for the dance to be enjoyable, for the marriage to be enjoyable, for the conflicts to be resolved. It takes the two to act and do what is best for that marriage. There are certain things that we need to avoid as we do our conflict management in marriage. There are some things that we need to avoid so that we can manage our conflicts effectively as a couple. Here are some of the things. There are many, but we came up with these few. We couldn't come with everything. You people might know some of them. So these are some of the things that we found out. We need to avoid these things as a couple if we are to manage our conflicts in marriages. Avoiding conflict is not a solution. I think my husband in his introduction, he mentioned it. When a spouse tries to avoid the conflict, that does not help. We should not do that. Or being defensive. If a partner brings an issue on the table, then the other partner tries to be defensive. That's not good. We should avoid such behaviors. Or over generalizing issues, like one issue, then you magnify it and generalize. Meanwhile, you need to look at just one small thing and you generalize that small one thing. That does not help. Another thing that is not supposed to be done if we are to manage our conflict in our marriages is when we forget to listen. We need to learn to listen to our partners. Each one of us needs to have the listening skills. We need to deliberately be listening to our partners. So when we forget to listen, that one does not help in management conflicts. The other thing that we should avoid is playing the blame game, blaming one another. Like, let's say there's an issue on the table. I blame him. I feel like I'm always right. I just blame him. No, because of you. You did it because of you. Playing blame game should be avoided. Or prolonging the issue. They're just talking about the same issue the whole year. The next year, 5 years, you're still talking of the same issue. That becomes so annoying, and the other partner might be running away from you if the issue is prolonged. And also trying to win the argument. My husband spoke of this in his introduction. If you bring the issue on the table and your aim is to win the argument, that doesn't help. That doesn't help. When we speak of conflict management, it's not about winning the argument. It's about finding a solution that works for both the husband and the wife. So in every marriage, according to researchers, and we found out that it is actually true when each one looks at their own marriage. According to the researchers, they say that in every marriage, there's always a peacemaker and a peace dweller. A peacemaker basically is someone who always wants to look at issues at hand and solve them. They are not comfortable with the silent treatment. They're not comfortable with like brushing issues away, pretending like all is well when there's an issue. Peace dwellers, these are these are people who like just brush. There's an issue, they don't want to talk about it. Or when a partner brings an issue, they'll just move along with the partner and agree with the partner. So in every marriage, there's a peacemaker and a peace dweller. But tonight, we want to encourage couples to advance. Each couple, in each couple, like each person, like let's say me, I need to be both. I need to be both the peace dweller and the peacemaker. So I need to learn. Let's say if I was a peace dweller, I need to learn to be a peacemaker. If there's an issue, I need to learn to be able to approach my partner and we handle the issue. I should not be comfortable with the silent treatment. And also, if my husband brings in an issue, I shouldn't just like move along. I should also be there participating and bringing possible solutions on the table. So marriage becomes so interesting when a couple advances to each being a peace dweller and a peacemaker. Both of you. I should be both a peacemaker and a peace dweller. He should be both a peacemaker and a peace dweller. That becomes so interesting because I'll be able to be initiating some talks to settle, to resolve conflicts. He should be able to also be able to bring out issues and we talk about them and we settle them. How can we then manage our conflicts in marriage? How can we manage our conflicts in marriage? These are the steps that we need to follow in order to manage our conflicts in marriage. The first thing is be an initiator. When you've noticed that you're not agreeing, remember, remember the definition of conflict. Yeah, we said that it's when ideas clash, your interests clash, or your purposes are in opposition.
Yeah.
So when I notice that, maybe my partner has not noticed it, I should be the initiator. If he notices that I've not noticed, he should be the initiator. In short, he's going to be the peacemaker. I should be the peace dweller at that moment. So be the initiator.
Wow.
Offer something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to add something?
Yeah. Even when you are an initiator, it's very critical that you do it early. You intervene early, even when you're trying to be an initiator. And it's this thing is intentional. When couples marry, they need to move from emotional love to intentional love. So whatever they do in marriage must be intentional. That's why you must be an initiator, and who does it early? You intervene early. That's why the Bible says you don't become angry with your spouse,
the whole day.
It's not healthy.
So make sure that the
for a
intervention
relationship
is done early.
Yeah.
Don't wait, because if you pile issues, they'll reappear one day stronger.
Yes, and then you also, even as you initiate, you do it early. You also have to identify the source of conflict. You identify the source of conflict. Because when you understand the problem well and avoid assumptions, you avoid assumptions, assuming that maybe this is what this guy is thinking about me. My spouse, maybe they hate me. Maybe they think low of me. They are trying to do this. Don't use assumptions, because assumptions bring conflicts and complicate issues. And because you start dealing with issues that don't even matter, because you are just assuming.
Yeah, very true. So the next step is make time. Let's say if he's the initiator, he initiates the meeting. There's an issue. He initiates the meeting. He intervenes early. He has seen there's some issues we are not agreeing or we are in opposition. He initiates for the meeting early. I should be available. I should not be too busy.
Wow.
I should make time. I should give the conversation a priority. So basically, when it comes to conflict management in marriage, like we always say, marriage is, you just like decide in your mind that this thing has to work. It's intentional. You do it intentionally.
Yeah.
So if he calls for the meeting, he initiates for the meeting, I should be available. I should make time for it. I should make conversation a priority.
And also, in addition, as you make time, this is the time now to have a real conversation, that will assist you both. Real conversation. You begin to ask your spouse things like, can you tell me how you feel about it? You begin to ask your spouse, how does that make you feel? Those are real conversation, so that you know exactly how your partner feels about it. Like the Tower of Babel, this is where the target of the enemy concerning communication, because once communication, real conversation is not present, believe me, you divorce. And that's one thing all couples must, avoid at all costs, because God hates divorce with perfect hatred. Not all talking is communication. We must know that. For example, men see defense mechanism or dismissal or disagreement or debate as communication, for example. A man would rather debate. To them it's communication. But for women, they look at connectivity, connection with their spouse, and the feeling as communication. If a woman feels hurt, 90% of the problem is solved. If they feel that my husband is hearing, my feelings, is listening to me, 90% of problems are solved.
Exactly. Yeah. So just to add on what he was saying, this time of make time, like you need to give the conversation a priority. This is the time you have to actually, each one of you express your frustrations concerning the issue. Express your frustrations freely to each other. Then the next one is you need to focus on the issue. Don't start bringing in issues that were buried. Don't start talking of the argument or disagreement you had 5 years ago or 2 months ago. So focus on the issue at hand. If you're talking about bread, just talk about bread. Don't bring other issues. So focus on the issue that will make a couple manage the conflicts well, because the mind will not be scattered to a lot of things that you might not be able to solve at the same time. So focus on one issue.
In addition, don't confront the person, rather confront the issue. In other words, so don't say like, you make me feel bad. You say words like, I feel bad about this situation. I feel bad. This is how I feel. You know, you point at yourself. So you don't like confront the person. You rather confront this issue. You know, stick to the issue at hand and focus on the current conflict. You know, avoid character assassinations and don't use words you will live to regret.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's quite work, but once we've mastered these few management skills, it becomes easy to actually handle conflicts in marriage. So it's not a one-day thing like you go through and you master it. You'll be able to, it's practice. Over the years, you'll be able to master and know how to talk to each other and know how to resolve conflicts and know how to handle issues step by step without injuring one another's feelings or without bringing in problems that were hidden. Focus on the issue. That's what we're talking about. Then listen. Yeah. As a couple, each one, wife and husband, we need to learn to listen. It's not a time to argue. Like you're talking at the same time. I'm talking, he's also talking at the same time. We will not solve anything. So when one person is speaking, the other one should listen. When the other person finishes talking, also should keep quiet and listen. The other one also has to say their views. They need to like air their complaint as well, why they behaved the way they behaved, depending on the issue at hand.
And listening is the key.
Yes.
It's a key in resolving conflicts because once you listen, you are sending a message back to your spouse to say, I'm being considered. The issue is taken seriously. And you begin to also to understand the perspective from your spouse. You know, you begin to understand their perspective. Exactly. You begin to understand how they are feeling. You begin to understand why they are reacting the way they are reacting. As such, you have a solution near you.
And listen to understand. Don't listen to answer.
Yeah.
Don't listen that when he finishes or when she finishes, I'm going to say this. No. Listen to understand what your spouse is talking about. Listen to the tone of the voice. Listen to the body language. Listen to the way the sentences are phrased. Sometimes people say what they say is not exactly what they mean. Listen to their feelings. Listen to their body language. Listen to the tone of the voice. You'll be able to put yourself in their shoes and understand exactly what they are talking about. And to make sure that you've understood, try to repeat what you've heard. Say, did you mean this?
Yeah.
Did you mean I shouldn't be buying 2 bread?
And not for bragging, but for clarity, to seek clarity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've noticed when you listen more, you begin to see where you are wrong.
Exactly.
Because you understand why your spouse behaving that way, is reacting that way.
Yeah.
As such, it will be very easy to even say sorry. Sorry is a very powerful technique. You know, it is very effective when you really mean it. You know, being sorry, you really mean it, and not necessarily trying to avoid, solving issues, but rather meaning it. And you can only say sorry when you have understood, not to mock, because there's a tendency, honey, some people would rather say sorry even when they have not understood.
Yeah.
So, you know, just like to mock you or to stop you from continuing.
Yeah, or to shut you down.
Yeah.
So such should not be done. So let's listen to understand each other. Understand each other's feelings and understand each other's points of view so that we are able to bring on the table possible solutions that will help each one of us.
And I would rather, use my energies, all my energies to be connected to the person I chose to marry than to be right. Learn to compromise and adjust to each other.
Exactly. Then the last point is let it go. So when you've presented your acceptable solutions, each one, like when you've talked, to add your views and your thoughts and your frustrations, then both of you have to decide what are the possible solutions. You bring them on the table, then both of you agree, you adopt, okay, we need to go with this one. So once you are done that, you need to close the deal and you need to let go of the issue. Don't come back to it.
Exactly.
So when you sealed the deal, seal it. Don't again open and check what's inside. Seal it and let it go.
In other words, there's no resolving of conflicts without proposing solutions.
Yes.
At the end of it all.
Yeah.
Propose solutions. Creativity and optimism are too essential for conflict resolutions. When people feel there is no door out, you show your spouse that there's a window which you can turn to a door. Exactly. You give hope by offering, solutions. When couples see darkness, when your spouse see darkness, you begin to show them that there's a dawn. There's a dawn coming. There's a new dawn coming. There's a new season coming, like promising and, being creative that there is hope.
Yeah.
And then you close the deal. And on the closing the deal is you remind each other of the benefits of the resolving of conflicts. You begin to remind each other to say, okay, this is beneficial to us as a couple because of 1, 2, 3, and you mention them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we are ending here. We want everybody to go home with a question. In Zambia, there's the 20% NAPSA withdrawal.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Partial withdrawal from NAPSA. All those who've been saving under NAPSA, who've been, what do you call them? The pensions.
Yeah, pension.
Yeah, that is, if you've registered with NAPSA as an employee.
Pension scheme.
Pension scheme, yes. So in Zambia, the president has said that every employee can claim and get their 20% partial withdrawal from NAPSA. Here is my question. How can you solve this issue? Please go and answer it at home, because after this question we are closing. Go and answer it at home with your spouse. Discuss it, but don't fight, don't argue. Follow the steps that we've done today. Imagine your spouse has withdrawn the 20% partial withdrawal, and your partner has not told you about it, only to tell you when the money has finished. That's the first question. The second question, the same partial withdrawal, maybe your partner told you about it, that he or she is going to do the partial withdrawal, the 20%, even told you the amount. Then 2 or 3 months down the line, you ask about it, and they tell you, oh yeah, I did. We had problems in the family. I had to give my uncle this much.
Without your notice.
Yeah, without informing you. And also I used this other money, I'm very busy and I needed this money for this. So from that money I got, I've only remained with the 2,000. I'll give you tomorrow. Okay, so how are you going to manage that conflict? How are you going to resolve that issue? Yeah, sit down with your partner and discuss about it. I think we end here. Yeah, you can close in a word of prayer.
Yeah. Before we go, suppose that issue is resolved using the techniques we've shared, and even through their own wisdom, because couples have got wisdom.
Yes.
To resolve conflict. They know what matters and how to come around about it. And then you forget about it. From nowhere again, it's a repeat. There's a repeat,
of the behavior. Yeah, so it's not to tire.
Yeah.
Continue trying.
You go through the techniques again.
One day you get used, because it's not a one-day thing.
Exactly.
Even us, we had our own problems.
Yeah.
we couldn't resolve our conflicts actually early in our marriage.
Yeah.
So it was a struggle.
Mm.
It takes time, it takes practice. But in cases where it's beyond, you can seek professional help. Yeah, find people you respect, find people you feel can help you, give you some strategies on how you can be handling your matters.
And you know that it's just a decision making.
Yeah.
You can just decide, okay, we'll resolve this conflict because it's deliberate.
Yeah.
You just decide, okay, we'll do this. This must be solved.
Yeah.
And once your mindset, tells you that this must be resolved, you'll see resolutions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I can close in a word of prayer.
Thank you for coming through.
Thank you so much. On Facebook, people have come.
You can leave some comments.
Yeah.
You can even share with friends. On some pages you can share. You are allowed, please.
Yes,
Yeah.
basically we need to help one another.
Yeah.
We need to strengthen our marriages because this is the first institution that God created on earth.
Yeah.
So we are not perfect. We are just like facilitators.
Yeah, exactly.
To help each other to strengthen our marriages, and so that we can have some little bit of heaven on earth as couples. So you can share this with people you feel they might need the information, or they might also put comments that do benefit us so that we can also learn.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's close from here in a word of prayer.